greetings. In these present times of chaos and seeming negativity, it is important to remember that in spite of appearances all is proceeding according to the divine plan. You may look out at the world and say to yourself that nothing is changing, but understand that before something can manifest materially, the idea and energy of it must be first present in the invisible. Changes that you cannot yet see in the outer are taking form on other levels because so many are now awakening to the deeper truth about themselves, and as a result are adding light to collective consciousness. The outer world in time cannot avoid manifesting these energies of higher awareness because their essence will be present in the invisible, allowing them to then appear in material form. Now is a time for trust. A time to cease judging the world's evolution according to the three-dimensional standards based in old energy that seem to still rule the world. As the substance, energy, and essence of many obsolete beliefs decrease through the spiritual awakening of increasingly more individuals, the energy that originally formed and supports what many still consider to be the right and only way of doing things will no longer exist. Earth is a spiritual universe, peopled with sons of God. Those who do not know this, create and live out from a very limited three-dimensional belief system and experience their good and their bad on the physical material level, unaware that they are manifestations of God and one with all life. This is a human condition, the illusion of separation that you came to help dissolve by entering into and experiencing these energies yourselves. As we have said many times, there is no unexpressed consciousness. Divine consciousness is always expressing itself in infinite form and variety. Individual consciousness, which is the one consciousness individualized, is therefore always in expression as well. Any little bit of false energy you hold in consciousness will express, but often in simple, unnoticeable ways. If you recognize them, use these experiences as opportunities to examine your belief system and remove that which is false, no matter how seemingly unimportant it may seem. When living in a physical body surrounded by energies of duality and separation, a person cannot help but absorb some of them. You chose to be on Earth at this time not only to add light to the world's ascension process, but also to clear remaining accumulated old energy from your own cellular memory. Clearings often involve the physical, emotional, or mental re-experiencing of some old energy as it moves through, so do not think that somehow you have spiritually failed or are going backwards if it happens. See these experiences as graduations. Many of you are continuing to clear vows, promises, and oaths from the past, some of which you renewed in succeeding lifetimes because the beliefs involved were still held strongly as truth in your consciousness. Take time to sit quietly and state your intention to specifically clear all old oaths, vows, and promises which, when taken with sincerity and intense belief, permeate cellular memory and often take time to fully clear. Most of you had lives in which you sincerely embraced a vow of poverty. Find yourself always lacking? You also willingly took a vow of obedience. Find yourself always playing follow the leader, afraid to make choices for yourself? Lastly, there was the vow of chastity. Still judge sexuality as being of a lower level and not spiritual? Sexuality is a sacred facet of every person's being. The ignorance of third-dimensional thinking, especially within organized religions, have relegated it to being evil, sinful, and a temptation brought about by women. For much of the world, sexuality continues to be nothing more than a source of pleasure and a money-maker, as well as something to be ignored, hidden, and never talked about. In these times of awakening, sexuality is beginning to be seen in a new and higher way, but continues to be presented through the media, film, books, etc. in ways that primarily reflect old three-dimensional thinking. Sacred sexuality was taught in the ancient mystery schools and high-resonating temples as being a path leading to a deeper awareness of one's innate divinity. As with all things present in material form, human sexuality flows from a much deeper reality without which the material form would not exist. Divine consciousness is neither male or female, but rather is the totality of both as one. In the duality energy of the third dimension, an individual is either male or female. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, the male energy manifests as the active, beer, doer, while the female energy manifests as the receptive, love, and intuitive. When they come together physically, a child, a new person is created. Every individual, and not just some special one or a few, is fully complete, embodying all of God's qualities and not half or just some. On Earth most are raised to emphasize only the qualities of their physical gender and to avoid those of the other. But this is changing. Men are opening themselves to qualities previously considered feminine, and women are becoming more willing to experience the masculine energies. This is a sign of spiritual evolution, and not that men and women are becoming weak. At some point in everyone's spiritual journey, they must acknowledge and then consciously bring their fully present male aspect into alignment with their fully present female aspect, allowing a new and higher state of consciousness to be born. This perfect, whole, divine self has always been fully present in every person, but has always been unknown and unrecognized by the majority. In spiritual terms, it's not to relegate the human sexuality to being less than, for it represents the material sense of sacred love and oneness, a physical expression of the mystical reality of individualized completeness. Human sexuality is a pleasurable and enjoyable experience and is likewise sacred when entered into with love and respect. However, because the reality underlying sex is the mystical marriage, sacred guidelines do exist. It is never to be forced, made fearful, used as a means to an end, self-serving, violent, entered into without love or respect, or considered a duty. A consciousness that knows it is whole and complete because it has both male and female qualities rather than just one, lives from a sense of completeness because she understands that their masculine aspect, action, initiative, strength, decisiveness, will act to support and balance their feminine aspect, love, tenderness, intuition and sensitivity, while their feminine aspect will love and intuitively assist their masculine actions. Individuals who are spiritually ready to embrace their male or female aspect but resist, will often experience situations that force them to do it. For example, a woman who continually looks to a man to make decisions for her may find herself through divorce, death or some other circumstance forced to do these things for herself. A macho man may suddenly find himself in a situation where he is the caregiver for a child or parent. Many are now moving into a higher consciousness of sexuality and its deeper significance as being the mystical marriage, and through this deeper awareness are beginning to accept that they are complete and in need of nothing outside of self. We are the Arcturian group.